Well, what's up? What's up, City Line fam? It is Wednesday, and you know what they say on Wednesday. They say,
Happy Wednesday.
That's right. It is What's Up Wednesday. Right here on the Beyond Sunday podcast. You are tuning in to season 1, and you heard it first. Episode 12. 12. Dun, dun, dun.
The ultimate episode.
The ultimate episode. This is the final episode of season 1.
As the French say.
Yes.
The denouement.
Okay.
I wouldn't know that.
The denouement.
Denouement.
What does that mean?
Is that, you said French?
French.
Bro, I struggle with English, so I'm not trying to, I want to be honest. I'm just like, I'm not even going to try to unpack that because I'm like, look, I need all the help I can get with just regular talk. You
just
know
the
what I'm
finale.
saying? But
It's
it's the finale. We are here, but don't be worried. That doesn't mean that the podcast is going away.
No.
It just means that as we track through the remainder of the summer, we're just going to be hanging out. And we're going to be implementing some helpful practices that we can continue to get rest, continue to grow and develop in our relationship with Jesus collectively together as a community of faith. And then this podcast will be right back in the fall. With special guests and specific topics and just lots of things to talk about beyond Sunday. You see where I was going with that? I was trying. You know, like, hey, but it is summertime. Summer is here. So we want to do like we do and welcome everybody here to the podcast. We got Pastor Joshua hanging out on the couch. We got Pastor Troy in the building on the couches with us.
I am present.
You are here present, sir.
Yes.
And then we got Pastor Linda in the house, as always, making sure that things stay on track and move forward. And
I don't know that they want to know what this podcast will be without her. And
that's what I'm saying, man.
It'd be crazy.
With the wisdom and the insight and everything, and it's good. It's good. Yeah.
Knock it off.
Yeah, well, she gives us that look, and we're like, so the next question that we wanted to talk about, it's good. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I appreciate her for that so much.
She's doing it right now.
And then we got Z. We got Z on the ones and twos, mixing it up back there, saying, hey. You know what I'm saying? Something like that, right?
Doing.
That's good. Yeah.
That's what
I envision excitement when we're switching camera feeds and stuff like that. That team that serves in that capacity, they know what's up.
Agreed.
They know what's up, especially on Wednesday.
Yes.
On Wednesday. But hey, let's talk about what's going on in life as we do and have been doing throughout season 1. We've been doing life check-ins, right? Like what's up with life? How does life be lifing for you two recently? Yeah. Pastor Troy,
I have
lead off today.
One question.
What
is sleep?
Yeah. What is sleep?
This is actually Jeopardy.
What is sleep? Nah, life is good. Just not getting as much sleep these days. It is but a blip in the radar. So I understand that. But, experiencing it, not always the best.
Yeah.
But
I take it Eden is finding her voice.
Yeah. She wakes up at like 2 a.m. and she doesn't really say anything. She just kind of stares at me.
Got you.
Sometimes she'll smile. Most times she flatulates.
But the joys of parenting. Everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, she's more alert and aware of what's going on and the different people. And she's like, her distance of what she's able to see is increasing.
Yeah.
So, she's good. Oh, I went to an optometrist. I had my eyes checked.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. What's going on? I want to know the deal on that because I went to an optometrist one time too.
Yeah.
And I left never the same.
So I was worried that like my vision was deteriorating.
Okay.
Like, things that I used to be able to see with clarity at a distance started to to not be as clear.
Right.
So I go to the optometrist. He do all of the tests and like the different words and letters and smaller and da-da-da-da. And he tells me that I have I have 20/20 vision now, so I've declined to 20/20 vision, and I have a slight astigmatism reading fine print at a distance.
Okay.
So he said basically your vision is now what most people would consider very good for normal vision.
Okay.
Which made me sad.
Yeah, I mean, as time passes.
Yeah, so that was what he said. He goes, the muscle in your eye gets weaker that
Sure.
focuses things.
Sure.
So
the eyes are fascinating, man.
yeah, he goes, as you age, your vision will get worse. But he did recommend that I wear sunglasses regularly. So you know me, you know that like part of the things that I like to do to flex on people is to stare directly into the sun when they're complaining about how bright it is. And apparently that's not a good idea.
It's not, bro. You're burning your retinas, dude. Like,
But I got like natural tint. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
Wait. Why would you do that?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why would? Because listen.
To establish dominance.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Troy just wants to,
okay?
he's like, let me show you how fascinating I can be right now. To which people do that. Exactly. They walk out and they're like, what just happened right now? Like, why
strange
would you
man.
do that? And you know what Troy does? He just smiles and walks away.
Bro, like.
Right? But it's all catching up to you. It's all catching up to you.
Are you saying like that doesn't pain you? Like you're not inflicted with like you don't hurt when you're looking
I don't know. Hold on.
at the sun?
It's slightly uncomfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bro, I can't imagine, that's a 500-watt light. I don't even know what a star would do to your eyes if you stared at it long enough.
So again, like I said, the doctor told me that that's not wise. All right?
Bro, I'm like, yeah. Thank God for doctors. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody that Troy will finally listen to.
Doctor's
you know what
orders.
saying?
I'm going to stop staring at the sun. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty important. Pretty important.
So
I'm telling
that's
you, I don't know
what's
how you
going
do
on.
it, dude. Because I walk outside and I'm like, I just immediately start tearing up and cry. And it's not because I'm crying. You know me with tears.
Yeah.
It's just my eyes just start gushing because I can't see. Like, the sun is so bright and I'm not even looking at it. You know what I'm saying? It's just shining on everything around me. And bro, I can't see.
Well, our pavement on campus outside, like
Yeah.
bounces
yeah,
light.
for
Like,
sure.
It is bright.
It reflects
Definitely.
it straight back in everybody's face.
We probably should have put some tint in there or something like that.
You know,
That way,
melanate the pavement. Anyway, I digress. I digress.
Nice.
Oh, it's good, man. So Eden's up and awake and around, and eyes are changing.
Changing.
But you're gonna be all right.
I'm gonna be all right.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Good, man. Good things are happening. Joshua, what's going down with you, man?
Not too much, man. I got a new watch. That's
Okay.
exciting.
Is it a simple watch?
I got a Fitbit.
tracking your steps.
I mean,
My steps
it's
are
kinda like a
ordered
sim-
by God.
it really like this watch
No?
is like as simple as it gets.
Okay.
Like honestly, it's nothing like very.
Yeah.
I don't even use half of the functionality on here, but it is really cool. If you've
Mm-hmm.
never gotten a Fitbit before, dude, I've had this thing for 3 days.
Wait, before you say more on Fitbit, they're not a sponsor.
They're not a sponsor.
They're not a sponsor. Fitbit is not a sponsor.
Fitbit is not
and
affiliated.
we
with
cannot
City Line
necessarily
Church.
recommend Fitbit. However, if you would like more information,
Okay. Noted. Yeah. You could go to Fitbit.com, I imagine, if you really want to do that. If you want to go to Fitbit.com, you can find out all this stuff for yourself. And not hear some average white Hispanic male tell you all about it. Anyway, so I like this watch a lot. What's cool about it is I've had it fully charged. I fully charged it 3 days ago. Bro, it's only on 80% right now.
There you go.
Isn't that crazy?
Holding the charge.
It is wild.
Yeah, man, that's
Yeah,
good.
very, very neat. So I
Are
like
you
that.
fascinated with like tracking your steps?
No.
No.
He says 0%.
No, not at all. What was funny is like you realize like you go on Amazon and you think Amazon has everything, and it really does.
Sure.
Except a really minimalist watch.
Sure.
There's really nothing like that. Even like the simplest one was like a Casio, like G-Shock type of
Yeah,
like watch.
yeah.
And I could not find something that was like as slim as low profile as this. Like something that's like a wristband. And
Bro,
it
the
comes-
bubblegum machine at the grocery store got you, dog. Like, what you mean? You don't need all that, bro. It got the time.
I should've
And it
thought
got
of
them
that.
little dials on the side.
I remember I
Sorry,
had
I
one.
thought of that.
Hey, back in the day, I had a Casio. All it had was just the digital reading on it. That's all it was.
Well-
and then I upgraded and I got the one with the digital reading on top and the calculator on the bottom.
So though
Next
that,
level.
like that type of stuff still exists, but I really think it's too clunky for me. I just wanted something that was like a wristband.
Sure.
And so like I actually have like I'm not an entrepreneur at all. That's not
Sure,
that's not my vibe. My whole family is except me. Anyway, working.
It's all right. We still love you.
You still love me, I know. But like I have this concept now for a minimalist watch that's just a cheap LED panel thing like this. All it does, one analog control can change the time and change the color of the display, and that's it. Sell it for $30.
Or hear me out.
There you go.
A wearable sundial. We'll get back to that.
A wearable sundial.
That's actually sick.
Hey, what I thought though when he was talking about his watch concept, I was like, dude, we got to figure out how to get Josh on Shark Tank.
Yes.
You know, saying, can you imagine
think
Josh
I could
making a pitch?
I
on
would
Shark Tank?
love to say. I would watch that episode like weekly.
I gotta come in like,
Giving those
hey
Shark
y'all,
Tank
Hey friends,
good to meet y'all sharks.
pitch. Good to meet y'all, sharks.
you ever looked at your wrist and said things were a little too complicated around here?
Mark Cuban's like, do you live in Dallas? It's like,
He said, he had the whole pitch. He said, you ever stop and look at your wrist?
Like, things are a little too complicated around here. Well, I got something for you. We got the simple watch. It's right here on your wrist. Very sleek design.
The only thing simpler is a sundial.
and we all know how practical that is. We'd like to tell the time. Check this out. You know, so I have that going on.
Hey, the
for
sundial,
me.
you never have to charge it.
Yep.
Oh,
Well-
I mean,
What if the? I'm not. Gonna
Okay,
go there.
yeah,
I'm not
no,
gonna go
it's
there.
good,
I'm not
it's
gonna.
good.
I had a theory. I had a theory. I'm not gonna.
I just wanted to
stop.
throw-
I'm gonna
I just
stop.
wanted to throw
had-
that out
I had
there.
a theory.
yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
I had a theory.
So life is
Okay.
going well with the new watch.
Life's going
Yes.
well with the new watch.
Okay.
Yeah, took some time off, had some vacation. That was fun.
Yeah.
Went to Portland. Portland's really cool.
Nice.
It's weird, but it's really, really, really
they
cool.
want to keep it weird, right?
Yeah, but
I've
I
heard
don't even
that.
understand that. Like, why you want to Why you want to be weird? You know what I'm saying?
I got a lot to say about Portland. That
I mean,
we'll
everybody
just-
has a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
In another life,
that's
I'm
their
probably
thing.
from Portland, to be fair. So you know, that area is super cool. Very
Yeah.
green. I ain't seen that many trees in God knows how long.
Yeah.
That's a lot of trees.
Yeah, it's a
y'all.
lot of trees.
That's a lot of
I-
trees.
You know me and trees.
Hiked the huge,
not
hiked
a
the
fan.
huge waterfall straight up 600 feet. Went deep into this like forest. Jumped in a waterfall. It was a lot of fun. It was
Nice,
really, really
nice.
cool.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good
I'm
time.
glad you got away and
Thanks,
had a good
man.
time. You know
Thanks,
what
man. It was a
I'm
good
saying?
time.
chasing
Yeah.
waterfalls.
Jason, what? Don't go
Chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the rivers and the
Streams?
streams, lakes,
Streams.
streams.
I forgot.
I don't know.
That's okay.
How was
That
your
It was a
week?
good 90s jam. My week was great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm sure they're listening. People are listening and they're like, what's going on with the 12th episode right now?
We just
You know what I mean?
chilling, man.
We're
We
just hanging
vibing.
out. We're just trying to hang out and just kind of, talk about life. Because, yeah, life is good. Everything's great as far as I can tell. I mean, yeah, we had Leadership College on Monday,
Mm-hmm.
and that was great to see everybody kind of continue to take next steps. A lot of fun to be with that crew.
They got their group projects, right?
They got group projects coming up, man, and so yeah, they're working on that, and so that's a lot of fun to see. One, they're building community, but two, they're starting to apply some of the learning, because sometimes it can feel like a lot of information, but now they're hopefully being able to see how all this kind of starts fitting together, and they can implement the things that they're learning through. But yeah, man, family's good. Everything is well. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, just navigating through different stages and things that life brings sometimes is key, I think, in this season. But I do feel like for me in this season, I do feel like I keep getting lots of reminders from God. You know, that as things arise and we walk through things and we just take next steps forward to where God is leading. Sometimes you need those kind of affirmations as well as nudges from God. So I feel like so far this summer, I feel like it's been a good, there's been nudges and there's been affirmation. And it's I always like that experience.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I've also had the experience, and maybe others have had that too, where it feels like, okay, God, like I'm listening. Like you preached on it a couple weeks ago. Speak, for your servant is listening. And then it's like God's like, no, I'm cool with just hanging out with you and being silent. And you're like, the silence is uncomfortable, and I really would like you to say something, sooner than later. But I think no matter what that looks like in this season, I think it's good.
That's good. That's what's
So
up.
want to talk about summer today, though, because as we kind of land the plane on season 1 today, we're just kind of realizing we still got a good stretch of summer ahead of us, right? And as we look towards the remainder of the summer, although summer feels like it does get condensed and shortened as the years go on, with schools starting back sooner and earlier and things like that. We just want to kind of talk and process a little bit about summer and what are we doing during the summertime. I think sometimes as a church we talk about, okay, well, it's summertime, yes, but we don't say bye to Jesus
Right.
and all that we've learned through the spring, and then kind of pick back up with Jesus in the fall.
Yeah.
That we're trying to live this integrated life that no matter what the season is or what time of year it is, that we're able to continue to walk and journey together with God, and be open to what he might want to teach us, help us to know what we need to learn. And so, and when I was thinking about summer, I came up with a few questions that I want us to process together today with whoever may be listening. Is just like, let's start with like, when you think about summer, what kind of thoughts, feelings, emotions kind of tend to come with summer, right? I remember growing up and feeling like, all right, summer was always like, dude, school's out. Can't wait for summer to be here. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I feel like that was great during high school. And then when I got into college, like my college experience was like, great, it's summer. I'm glad to get a break from classes, but I got to work.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And so my attitude towards it kind of changed. And then the same thing. When I got older and I got married, started having a family, summer wasn't like, okay, great, summer's here, can't wait. It was like, oh man, what am I going to do with the kids now that school's out? And like, how does this work?
Yeah.
How do we navigate all these things? And so I feel like summer brings lots of different thoughts, feelings, emotions for a lot of people. So I want to kind of open up that discussion. Like, what do you feel like it brings for you in this season?
Yeah. I don't know. Ever since I was a kid, I love summer. Like I love summertime. To quote young Roscoe, the Philly fanatic, I love Cali in the summertime.
All right.
Yeah, it's always been just in my memory and in my experience a time of being able to connect with people, to catch up with family. I mean, I got a summer birthday. My siblings have summer birthdays, so it's always for my family. It's been like lots of celebration with my siblings and stuff like that. And so. Growing up as a student, in middle school and in high school, it was youth camp time. So like I remember that distinctly, and those were formative years for me. Then going into ministry, it was still youth camp time, but just from a different perspective.
Right, right.
So it's always been that, which there's always been something uniquely intentional, and there's always been a lot of connection for me over the summer. And then as a father, like it's really cool just to spend a little bit more time with the kids, than when they're in school, to see them, hit some strides and grow. Like I talked about Deacon, learning to ride his bike. He figured it out. He got it.
Nice.
He's good. He's rolling, rides his bike to grandma's house. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Congrats,
just like kind of childhood unlocked.
Yeah. Growing up fast.
He learned how to swim before I did, so he got that figured out too.
I was gonna say something, but I'm gonna be cool, bro. I'm gonna be cool. I'm gonna give you a real hard time right now across all 23 of our listeners. But I'm like, instead, I'm gonna pull it back. And I'm not gonna give you a hard time.
Dude. So anyway, so yeah, it's like I enjoy it.
You're right.
And I didn't grow up doing summer vacations.
Yeah.
That's something that's a more recent development with my family. Like every other year, we try to go and do something. But for me, summer was always something that I looked forward to.
Right.
And I still do. Like I think it's a good time to just deepen your connections, to be intentional about what you do with your time.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Yeah, I think for me, I think some of this goes back to like some slightly traumatic events that happened, like not to make it all dark, but like some slightly traumatic events that had happened in my life throughout the summer when I was a kid, leading into even some of my like earlier teen years. But summer probably is actually like my least favorite time of year. That's not like, I despise summer necessarily, but I just think like it's just not my speed. For some reason, I think I tend to, I feel like the air is pretty thick in summer, not just because it's hotter, but also because it just feels like a little bit of a chaotic time. I don't like when I feel like chaos is ensuing around me,
right?
In the lives of other people, because I mean, I think we're like our environment changes us and it affects us, and there's things that people were going off and doing and ways that affects, at least as I've been in ministry, the way that affects my role and what I do from the week to week. And I think all of us can share in that too. But yeah, it's not particularly my fondest time of year. I don't particularly love super hot weather at all. I don't love that. I like wearing pants. I don't love. I don't.
Right.
I don't like wearing shorts.
What are you saying,
though,
man? What are you saying? I'm
I don't
sorry.
know. When you wear shorts, though,
But but if I wear
you'll
shorts,
rock some shorts.
I'll rock some shorts.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Short shorts.
I'll wear the
The teeny weeny.
the teeny chubbies.
Yeah, yeah.
Chubbies.
there you go.
Chubbies.
Chubbies.
That's
Is
what
that what
yeah.
it's called? It's called chubbies.
yeah, chubbies. This is southern thing.
jogging
Chubbies is
shorts.
something.
Yeah.
Bro, I like literally go to like Dick's and I'm like, what are the shortest pair of running shorts you guys have? Basically.
Never a question I've ever asked.
No, never.
Well,
I look like the '90s NBA photo shoots. Down here.
man, I can't.
I'm like, Troy, are those capris or are they shorts? What is that?
bro, that was '90s
Capris.
basketball. Capris. It was my least favorite. era
Capris
of
is treacherous
basketball
work,
short,
Pastor.
like, for sure.
Capris.
But I don't know. I just for whatever like. I guess for some of those reasons, and even just some stuff that is just like intangible, I just don't love summertime. We ramp up around the church world, and at least in our community, which I think is great, and that's exciting, and those things give me things to be able to look forward to. But I don't have kids. I don't know if we will have kids, so it's just you know what I mean. Like we're at this season of my life, summer doesn't technically bring a lot of joy, but I'm trying some different things this summer at least to
For sure.
Last year we did a series called Sacred Rhythms and called it a Summer of Sacred Rhythms, and adopting some of these wonderful spiritual practices has been enriching for me. I don't know why this summer feels like, at least for me, this particular summer has been kind of a spiritual reset.
Yeah, no, let's talk about that. I mean, so I think you talk about, cool. So City Line kind of tends to ramp up or kind of heighten some things. Yes, there's summer camp for youth, and yes, there's neighborhood VBS, which are kind of two key focuses in summer for us. But we also are providing other opportunities in terms of this year we have a marriage workshop.
Yeah.
Or just providing opportunities to say like, hey, like our Sunday gatherings even are like still a significant part of what we do in the summer, regardless of the other plans that we might have, or not have for that matter. Yeah. And I think for me, what I'm learning about summer is summer was always interesting to me because, like I said, depending on what phase of life I was in, it stirred up some sort of feeling. And so I'm like, well, now as I continue to look at life, I think I've tried to understand summer as a more of a seasonal understanding of life. So life obviously ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
And just kind of like when you look at the natural changes throughout, say, like a calendar year of whether you have a spring, summer, fall, winter, which is interesting to talk about in California because it's technically on paper, but we don't see the wide display of weather as much as other places. But we can still get the general concept down. And I think what summer does, just like fall does or just like spring does, is summer gives us an opportunity to create some new rhythms, to reset some rhythms, to really try to take our life as a whole and give some assessment to it because of natural changes that automatically happen. So depending on what industry you work in, either summer is going to ramp up as well or summer is going to slow down. And so whatever that change naturally is, that change should spark, okay, what does that mean for me in this season, right? If you're a parent, your kids are either going to be out of school for the entire summer or you're frantically trying to find everything you can possibly do for them to keep them busy and to keep them occupied and to make sure they have some sort of oversight, you know what I mean? So they're not just at home while you're at work because you don't always have time off, right? And so those changes cause us to say, what does this mean for me? What should I be thinking about? So I think some of those natural changes that happen in the ebb and flow of our everyday life calendar year should also cause us to spiritually slow down and say, hey, what does this mean for my life? So as I've been finding that to be true for my life, that's where we've kind of come out with things like Sacred Rhythms. That's where we've come out with things like a couple years ago, we talked about this idea of, listen, don't waste your summer.
Yeah.
Don't waste your summer. Summer is an opportunity.
Yes.
And we don't mean opportunity because, well, we go on long trips or we take lots of vacations or we do all that stuff. All that stuff is great. All that stuff is fine. But summer is an opportunity to implement something new, to change things up, to switch a few things, to reassess life, to do all that stuff. So my question is, what kinds of things are you guys finding as new rhythms or kind of maybe a reset or a restart or a change up as you naturally kind of engage summer?
I think, I mean, I mentioned chaos. I was having a conversation with my family about this last night. Like silence has become extremely important to me. The practice of silence and solitude and being with Jesus, that's been really enriching. Just given the fact that, like I mentioned, I think summer just it breeds a lot of chaos and it breeds a lot of noise for me. And then as I've done that, it's helped me approach a little bit more of the noisy culture that we live in. We live in kind of a fast-paced area as opposed to other parts of the country. It helps me redefine what noise looks like. Like, noise is not so much as what I hear auditorily, but more so the chaos that we can feel inside of our hearts. And so, I think it's been a number of different things that have contributed, but I think for me recently, as of something that I've adopted, silence and solitude, and regular time of just like nothingness has just been really, really, that's an essential part of my day.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like I drive in the car. I was talking to a friend about this morning at breakfast, and it's interesting. I'm not even really listening to music. And I'm a musician, but I'm not really listening to music right now.
Right.
Like I just don't want noise.
Right.
I think I had an old pastor who used to tell me, the more that I'm paraphrasing, but more that I contemplate rest, and the more that I contemplate peace, it looks like rest and it looks like peace.
Right.
It's normally not ever I'm going to go out on a vacation, and though that has wonderful value too, it's not going out and balling out on a cruise ship boat or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like that's
right.
that can be wonderful too. But if I want peace, I must embrace what it means to get peace.
Exactly. Exactly.
And we can get, for me, at least in my previous summers, and as I've approached different years and then throughout my life, and I've been trying to follow Jesus, I have just a way of mentally justifying things about what rest and relaxation and getting right looks like that I really don't know is Jesus' invitation. That's just me. But for me, I've gotten really caught in the busyness of everything and more noise and just getting brought in and sucked into the chaos rather than honestly trying to go against the current.
Right.
I heard it said, it was a couple of weeks ago, I was listening to a podcast, and like a genuinely spiritually formative life in the way of Jesus looks a lot more like where there's a current trying to take you somewhere, you're fighting against that current to a point where eventually the current is going to go in your direction versus it taking you wherever, And so silence and solitude has allowed me to find a bit more of tranquility and peace in my heart. So that way, when I approach the noisy world, there's still peace within inside of me. So, yeah.
It's good, man. No, I appreciate you sharing that. I think there's definitely something to silence and solitude. We've been talking about that as a church. We've been talking about that, I know, even through Leadership College. And we did, help people take next steps with that last summer. But I think that's a great reminder that, like, hey, sometimes we just got to cut the noise, especially as we've been talking about in this recent series of Everyday Dialogue of, like, how do we hear God?
Yeah.
So you can't hear God if you got everything turned up. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you need to turn things down because God's not trying to shout at you. He's close enough to where all he has to do is whisper. It's a still small voice. You know what I'm saying? But we get so amped about anything and everything, constantly on the go, that we don't ever stop long enough to kind of turn things down, shut things out, put things away.
For sure.
I was talking to some people the other day about why we're asking people to bring their Bible to church, right? So to bring your Bible to church, we think it's pretty important. It's not something that we've ever really emphasized a lot, but this year as a team, we said, hey, we want to emphasize this idea of biblical literacy. Where do you start? Well, let's just ask people to start bringing their Bible to church, get in the habit of doing that. And then we've also made it a point to tell people, like, hey, if you can bring your Bible, that would be the best case scenario. We know that you can download it on your phone, but your phone is just inviting you to distraction. Why? Because I go to the Bible on my phone and we say, hey, go to 1 Corinthians, chapter 2. And as you go to 1 Corinthians chapter 2, you also get a notification that, 20% off Nike. You know what I mean? You're just like, or you're also getting a text message from somebody in your life, or you're trying to follow along and get a word from God today and what he might teach you in scripture. But at the same time, your phone is just calling your attention elsewhere. And so when you choose to put that away and say, hey, I'm just going to sit in the text with the real paper, you know what I'm saying? And I can feel it in my hand, you know what I mean? It opens my mind. So I love that you're highlighting that. Pastor Troy, what you got going on this summer that you're
for me, this summer in particular, I started to really implement the idea of the fixed hour prayer. I think we had mentioned a couple weeks ago when we were talking through the Lord's Prayer, say, hey, would you try this on to do it 3 times a day? Yeah. Right? So I'm like, hey, that's something that I can do, because I got to, again, my sleep schedule, my time is a little different. My rhythm is a little different right now, but that doesn't mean there's not opportunities. There's more opportunities to be present with God and to connect with God right now than there are typically. Yeah. So I try 3 times a day just to make sure I, like nothing crazy, but like a centering prayer. I do the Lord's Prayer, then I do a centering prayer. And I make sure I get those in. And what I'm realizing is that certain things that I pray, especially the ones that I have on repeat, like I do Lord's Prayer every day, 3 times a day. And there's some of these other centering prayers, the ones that I have on repeat that I do every time begins to, again, like it does, begin to like kind of shift and adjust the way that I think of myself, my day, and the world around me. So like it's dictating how I'm taking in information that I'm receiving rather than the information I'm receiving dictating how I see God. Okay. So like if I, just pray, like let it, like whatever's going on in heaven, let that be the reality here on earth, right? And I pray that, and I earnestly pray that. Then you go and you see things that are happening in the world around you on social media, or you see whatever, and it can disturb me and discourage me to say, man, like we're so far away from the reality that God wants. But then I'm reminded, like, no, the kingdom is still advancing. The kingdom is still coming. So it begins to, my imagination is now dictated by the prayer rather than what I perceive. Right. It's not that I ignore the, what's happening in the world around me or what's happening in my daily life or, any normal things that I gotta engage with. It's that's not what's dictating how I approach like my view of myself, my view of God, my view of the world around me. Right. So like those fixed hour prayers is giving me intentional time to not waste the time or be mad that I'm up when I want to be asleep. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, no, let me just make wise use of this time. Right. And it doesn't have to be 45 minutes. It's 5 minutes. Sometimes it's just the length of the prayer. Right. And I let it breathe. I don't just say it quick. But whatever it is, and I sit there and I ruminate on those words and I think about it. And I pray it. Sometimes there's music, sometimes there's not. Yeah. Sometimes I'm in my bed, sometimes I'm on the couch. Like often I find myself sitting on the couch and just taking a breath. I'm in the presence of God. I'm aware of that. And I just, hey, our Father in heaven. Yeah. May your name be recognized as holy. That's good. And then then the questions start to come like, am I living in a way that makes his name recognized as holy? Right. Am I depending on him for what I need for the day? Right. Who do I have unforgiveness toward? So like that becomes what I wrestle through when I'm processing as I go throughout my day. So that's been something that's good, man. That I've been doing. It's the fixed hour prayer, and not just as a rote task, but as something that's formative for me. Sure. No, that's good, man. I love that. I feel like, I think for me, it's it's a variety of different things. I think a couple of them I probably have mentioned before, but it's like trying to understand better, like this idea of embodiment of things. So it's like, have I been in the practice of praying with a certain rhythm or like praying with a, for instance, using the template of the Lord's Prayer, stuff like that? Yeah, I've been trying to do that, but I also have been trying to incorporate that together with something that brings joy or brings a reminder of the presence of the Holy Spirit. So it's like, I started trying this a while ago with, I was listening to somebody talk about their experience with this, where it's like, hey, there's sometimes I just need to be reminded that whether I'm having a conversation or whether I'm reading my Bible or whether I'm just sitting and reflecting in
maybe more of a contemplative moment of silence or solitude, I light a candle, and that candle represents the power and presence of the Holy Spirit with me. And as I light that candle, right, being aware of that, and as I sit together with God, the moment that I start to get distracted, or the moment that whatever I'm doing starts to feel hard or difficult, or I'm reading something that is challenging to me, I pause and I can look at that thing. So for a season, I was doing the candle because it could happen in my office, or it can happen inside the house. When for me and weather, like I'm the strange person that's like, I do not like anything cold, so I would much rather have it hot than cold. So I'm down to wear shorts right now.
Yeah.
I'd rather sweat than freeze. You know what I mean? And so one thing that I prefer now about summer is summer gives me an opportunity to switch up that rhythm. So it's not really a candle for me right now, but it's a place. So I get up in the morning, I say hi to Linda, you know what I mean? Because she's usually up before me. And then I go out to the backyard, and in the backyard we have a small pool, and I just sit there by the pool. The sun is out, right? The pool motor is on. So you kind of hear this noise of the motor. And for whatever reason, that pool and that motor is the presence of Jesus. It's the weirdest thing. It's the presence of Jesus.
Hey.
But what I do is I sit out there. Sometimes I sit in a chair. Sometimes I put a towel down and I literally sit on the ground. And I bring prayers with me that are already written, or I pray my own. Or I've also been trying to bring say like a book that there's lots of books that I want to read.
Yeah.
But there's also books that I don't always get to.
Yeah.
And so I start picking something that, hey, I've been wanting to read this for a long time, haven't always got to it. So let me bring that. And just for that moment, just choosing to spend time with God. You know what I mean? In a unique way that between the pool water trickling and the sound of the motor and the natural sounds of what's going on around me outside, and then me also engaging scripture, I feel this kind of overall sensory experience where I'm like, I feel like I find myself in the presence of God, and then in moments that's hard, where I feel like I can't read, or I'm constantly distracted by the prayers that I have, what I've tried to learn to do is also bring my headphones. And what I'll do is I'll put in my headphones and I'll go to the Bible app, and I'll go to a passage of scripture, and I'll just sit and have the Bible read over me.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So instead of me trying to engage the scripture and read it all the time, I just sit there and I push play. I get to pick which voice I want, in my phone. And that person just speaks the word of God over me as I'm just sitting there kind of thinking and processing with Jesus. And so I feel like that's been formative for me. It's not something that I can stop and do wherever I'm at all the time, but I'm trying to find ways of like, okay, so if I can't be by the pool on this hot summer day because I'm driving somewhere, how can I still have a experience together in the car with God, making, like you said, wise use of my time? Because you can get nowhere fast in this area. You know what I mean? Whether it's on the freeway or taking all these streets and streetlights. But like, can I do that together with God? Right? Can I find things that bring joy, that I feel God's presence in that moment, and it's impactful, right?
Yeah.
And so I think those things have been kind of super helpful and fun. Let's kind of change the page a little bit and say, what are the genuine like frustrations with summer? So we're talking about like, what are the feelings and emotions that summer brings, but then also talking about what kind of things are we doing, seeing as summer as an opportunity to switch up some rhythms. So as we're doing all that, there's also got to be some frustrations with summer, or kind of like you're just kind of looking around and what you're feeling, seeing, experiencing. That kind of we talked about this too when we talked about not wasting your summer. Is that like it feels like it's easy to compare other people's lives and what they're doing, and how their summer's looking, and what their family's got going on, and also and then you look at yours and you're like, oh, there's Jack sitting on the towel by the pool again. You know what I mean? It's like there's Troy mumbling his morning prayer, 3 times a day. You know what I mean? It's like, and then you look around and it's like, before you know it, summer's going to be over, and we're right back into fall, and you're kind of like, so I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes it feels like you're looking around and you're like, what do we do? And we have to be reminded that maybe that's not the best thing, but let's talk about some of those. Am I the only one that experiences that in the summertime?
No, I think there's 2 temptations to fight.
Yeah.
Is busyness and you mentioned comparison, right? Like one thing that anybody that has known me for any length of time knows that I'm a recovering workaholic.
Sure.
That I would keep myself busy, keep doing things, spin a bunch of plates. I mean, upwards to 7 days a week without any semblance of rest. And what I've learned over the last 2 years really is to slow down, put things on pause, to not feel the urge to hustle my way through anything, but to say, hey, how do I have a healthy rhythm, right, and a healthy pace, which was completely foreign to me for any number of reasons. Most of it was that I tied my identity, my value into what I could do for other people or what I could do and produce. And I think summer brings a temptation to say, hey, like, you got to make sure you're doing something, make sure, and busyness can become this temptation to just run myself ragged. And to justify it. It's like, hey, well, I have to be doing these things because, well, A, B, C, and D, and we got to have this, and electric was going to be higher, and this is going to be that, and go out there and make sure you're working the side gig, and you do that, and you do this, and you got to have extra money to go do this, and right now I'm just like, nah, right. But I have to consciously like choose to do something other than tell myself those stories,
right?
Than to believe those narratives, and then when you start to do that and you slow down. Social media is this wonderful invitation to watch everybody's highlight reel. Yeah.
Right.
I say wonderful very sarcastically, but it's like, so now I'm choosing to do less, but then I see what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
And I see this, hear their success stories and, oh, I got this and I booked that and I did this and we're going here and we're doing that. And again, it's like, oh, yeah, here I am, picking lemons off my tree in the backyard. I am, like just sitting at home. Here I am on the couch at 4 a.m. You know what I'm saying? Like half asleep. Here I am, not, and you start to, if you're not careful, you can look at what other people are willing to show you or even what they're doing. And they're not even telling you to spite you. They're just saying, hey, this is something good that's happening in my life. We can look at those things and we can start to develop contempt for it because we wish we had that experience and we wish we did that or not just what they're doing, but at least I wish I had the time and I wish I had the opportunity and I wish I had the funds.
Or if our kids see what their kids are doing, then our kids are going to come and ask us, hey, what are we doing? And I'm going to be like, I don't know. What are we doing? You know what I mean? There's all those pressures that come with that for sure.
So, so to act like that's one of the things I don't like. And then, and just engaging in being in relationships with people, you hear the way that they talk about things sometimes. This is not anybody in particular. Right. It's like, oh, you got to keep them busy. Got to stay busy. And I'm like, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
Like, it's like, no, you don't. And like, and my, like, part of me is like, I just want to like, just shake you and say, like, stop fighting, fight that temptation. As somebody who's lived busy for the majority of their life, and somebody who's still having to unbusy, it's like, man, like there's something better than busy.
Right.
It may not look as glamorous. It's very simple, but it's so much more refreshing and it gives rest so much more than busy. Doesn't mean you don't do nice things.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you don't take a trip, take a vacation, whatever it is, however you're going to classify it. Doesn't mean you don't enjoy life.
Right.
But like, don't feel the need to hustle your way into some semblance of rest.
Yeah.
It's a lie and a trap.
Well, I mean, I think too, there's with that, I mean, I don't know if you guys feel this way, you guys can speak into this, but it's like I feel like I've had conversations over the last couple of days with people who have talked about this idea of vacation, but I just listen when they're talking about vacation. One person was like, the vacation was great, but we just came home really tired. And I was like, okay. And I don't know what to think about it. And then I was talking to somebody else about vacation, and they're like, yeah, it's kind of interesting, like how sometimes you go on vacation, but you come home and you almost feel like you need a vacation from your vacation. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just kind of like, and I don't know what to do. Like that's I don't say anything out loud, but it knocks around in my head, and I'm just kind of like, are we accomplishing what we hoped to on vacation if we come home exhausted? And I often think, is it because we're so fast paced, we're so wound up, we're so on the go that honestly, for some of us, it takes over half of our vacation to even wind down and start to relax. Sure. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's why by the time we come home, we feel like we're still tired. You know what I'm saying? Because we're finally finding a place of, okay, this is rest. Or is it the opposite that like we say we're going to go on vacation, because we're trying to implement rest and have a good time and something that's refreshing. But yet we get there and we feel the pressure that because we've spent money to be here, we have to do A, B, C, D, and we got a whole thing planned out for every single day, which includes the only rest you get is at night. You know, like when you finally are exhausted from all your adventure for the day. And again, not knocking vacation, not knocking adventure. I'm just wondering, does it say something about the posture of our heart, the rhythm and pace of our life, the way we go about something that's supposed to be changing up our rhythm, supposed to be causing us to slow down, something that's supposed to be creating great memory, that we think that memory and great times have to be synonymous with big, grand, always something phenomenal. It can't be anything simplistic, right?
I think because of the pace of society, we aren't even wired right now to be able to see the beauty in the simple and in the mundanity. So I don't even think it's just, it takes us 4 days to wind down. I just think most of the time we don't even really know what we need.
Right.
Like we're just doing the thing that culturally seems to make the most sense because we associate vacation and time off with that it's supposed to produce this result. And then there's dissatisfaction by the end of the day, both with the money that you spent and the time that you spent, because you get to the end of it and it didn't produce what you thought and what you had hoped that it would. And so I think it's not even just, oh, I'm so wound tight and I got to be unwound. There's probably a little bit of that. But I also think it's just we aren't even conditioned to understand and give ourselves enough margin and time and space to take personal inventory of what it is that I actually need. Hey, bro, you don't need a vacation. You need a therapist. You know, brother, you don't need to go to Maui. You need to stay home and love your family.
Right.
Like
That's
and
good.
things of that nature. And I'm not, again, that's not to say that at the moment in time we actually have a great framework for how to rest and how to vacation, that we can't step into those things. But for as long as we keep engaging those things and expecting a different outcome, that's dumb. That's like you're wasting money, you're wasting your energy. And if you have a family, you're bringing a whole slew of other people into that fold. And then that hurts them as a byproduct too, because it doesn't enable them to live with a sense of rest. So not only, and the family order, our parents are held responsible, but also we are submitting everything else. If it's a big family and everyone's going, everyone else is at the mercy of that will. And so,
that's good.
Yeah, one of the most challenging realities that we have to deal with is the fact that we take us everywhere we go.
True.
So if I can go,
let's talk about that.
I can go to I can go to Croatia, I can go to Greece, I can go to Hawaii, I can go across the street to Starbucks. The person I know for sure is going with me is me.
Correct.
And if I have demonstrated a refusal to rest when an opportunity to actually take it comes, I'm unfamiliar with it. I won't take it. It's just like when you hear people say, "Oh, when I win the lottery, I'm gonna be generous." You will not become what you're not becoming.
Correct.
Like you're not gonna just do what that's not you. If you're not a person well acquainted with rest, when you take a vacation, you will not rest. Like that is something that I've learned quickly about myself. It's like I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm irritated, I'm annoyed, because that's the same way I am at home. Exhausted and tired and irritated and annoyed.
And so that's the thing. So we look to places, things, and ultimately people to provide for us what we think that we need. That at the end of the day, only God can do in us if we're open to change. So we want other people to provide us peace, joy, treat us a certain way, so that we can feel at peace, or that we can feel joy, or that we can, and it's like, look, my job is not to regulate your emotions. And my job is not to try to be something for you that only God can be. So if you're looking at me to provide you a sense of, I don't know, security or a sense of affirmation in some sort of way that, like, you know what I'm saying, is going to somehow make you feel better about you. It's like, no. Again, all those things, we can chase after all kinds of things, whether it's relationship, whether it's a trip, whether it's somewhere. If we're not taking an opportunity, I think, especially in a season like summer, to slow down and say, God, what are you doing in me?
Yep.
God, what do you want me to learn and grow in this summer? God, how do you want to move in my heart? So here's the thing: if I'm the same person no matter where I go, I don't want to move into fall being the same person I was in the spring.
Exactly.
Because if I thought spring was busy and overwhelmed and hectic, and I couldn't wait to get to summer to finally we get some sort of, living for, whatever we got planned, then it's like, well, I come home from that, and guess what? Fall's not going to be any better.
No, and I'm carrying with me now, like Josh mentioned, the bitterness and the frustration that it didn't give me what I wanted.
Correct.
And now I still got to continue in this rat race with not just, I got new baggage now. I got the same baggage and new baggage.
Well, it's compounding.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the baggage reference, like because like we bring in luggage, but now you bring in baggage. You know what I'm saying? I like that. That's good.
And let me tell you, people carry lots of baggage.
A lot of it.
You know what I'm saying? And they'll allow you to carry it.
I ain't carrying
if you're not careful. And again, that's not our role, right? Yes, we're here to come alongside one another. We're here to hold accountability with one another. We're brothers and sisters in Christ, so we're for one another. But sometimes the best thing that we can do is continue to point each other back to Jesus.
We'll carry
say,
you to Jesus.
Hey, what are we doing in this season that we are allowing Jesus access to places in our heart that we're seeking fulfillment, security, affirmation, you know what I'm saying, in other avenues that only he can provide.
A lot of all that is like, I think if I indulge, I don't know why, like rest is equated with indulgence. And that is not what I hear from the message of Jesus.
Correct.
What I hear is a life that says, get away with me. And then I'm going to teach you the unforced rhythms of grace. And like, this is vacations and things of this nature. And I'm guilty of this just as much as anybody, but it's not a license to indulge in drinking and smoking and doing things that just in general are just not good, like good for you. Like, but we just justify that in our minds. Like we do as people, we think like, oh, because it makes me happy and because it makes me feel good, then I should just naturally do it. And that is just like, God, if we did that all the time.
Yeah, why do I do that? Oh, because I worked hard.
Yeah, that's
I have to reward myself.
Man.
One, that sounds like a life that will lead to a lot of debt,
right?
For sure. And addiction,
absolutely.
Well, I mean, I think statistics prove that nowadays. Whereas like obviously debt is an issue, right? Like I know that to be true. You know what I'm saying? In my own life and the life of others as well.
Absolutely.
But, I think more and more now, because we are so adamant about experiencing a certain something or having some sort of emotional connection to a thing, we're willing to spend money that we don't have in the hopes of it producing something that thing can never offer us.
It can't.
It can never give to us.
Totally.
And then, like I said, what we're left with is like, you're either going to pay now or you're going to pay later.
But if you pay
later, you're always going to pay more.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
It's always going to come back to you. So it's like, what does summer look like now to be able to switch up those rhythms?
Totally.
I came across a quote from Seth Godin. He's an author. He's a business thought leader. He wouldn't consider himself a Christian. I don't believe in any way, even though he does have some sort of religious history, in his past. But Seth Godin said this, and find this interesting. He says, instead of wondering when our next vacation is, should we set up a life that we don't need to escape from?
That part.
And I'm like, man, like when I hear that, at first it's like, wait, I want to go on vacation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that's the pressure that I feel that is experienced in culture. Everybody wants to know, especially around this time of year. I guess if there is something that's kind of interesting for me, is like everybody wants to know, where are you going on vacation?
Yeah.
And my response is, what if I don't have one? Or what if I don't have one planned for the summer? What if it's a different time?
Yeah.
But I think there's a heightened awareness of vacation right now.
Yeah.
In that, like, okay, well, if you're not going on vacation, then what are you doing in your summer? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, well, I'm still want to make wise use of my summer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to waste my summer.
Yep.
But I don't need to do it in a sense that where I escape from my everyday. Because here's what I know. I can escape from that. But ultimately, I got to come right back.
It's waiting for you, man.
Like, so if I'm not doing anything to better where I am right now, how I'm living right now, how I'm leading right now, how I'm engaging with my family right now, I mean, that stuff's not gonna go away. And I think part of why we think that so much too is like we do have a social media culture where everything is on display, like as you mentioned, like highlights. But I think we get so used to seeing people's excursions and getaways then not only does it inspire us to want to get away, but it doesn't inspire that question oftentimes of like, what are you going on? When are you going to get away? You know, do you guys have something planned this summer?
Yeah.
Hey, are you guys going to go somewhere? And it's like, yeah. For me, the answer is always like, well, I hope to. I would like to, and I hope to, and I know that it doesn't naturally happen unless you're intentional about scheduling it, which obviously takes a lot of planning and stuff like that. But I think what we're really missing sometimes is like, what's the thing underneath the thing? Like what's below the surface of that we can actually kind of start to sit in that, like, man, what makes us feel like we always got to be doing the next thing? You know what I mean? Maybe escaping from that. Have you guys, I don't know, what are your thoughts on that quote? Instead of wondering when our next vacation is, maybe we should set up a life that we don't need to escape from.
Yeah. I think so. Having a posture of gratitude, like for me, like I was actually reminded, I had a Facebook memory that popped up from about 7 years ago. And I had made the statement like, hey, one thing that I've not done a good job of in my life is being grateful for what God has provided. Like not intentionally looking at the good that God has and be reminded that he is good and being grateful for it. And from then on, it's been something that I've been intentional about. Hey, I'm going to like, not necessarily count your blessings, but I'm going to have like I want to be grateful for the things that God has given me. And so when I look around in my life, I look at the job that I get to work, and I look at the family that I have and the friends. I'm like, none of it speaks to things that are inadequate to me that I look at. And it's like, that's not good enough. And I need to get away from it, because the way I look at it every day is it is a blessing. Yeah. God has entrusted me with the home that I get to live in.
That's good.
He's entrusted me
as
a husband to my wife. Or yes, that's how that says. Yes.
You're on it.
I'm on fumes. He's entrusted me as a friend and as a pastor, and then I get to do so many incredible and fun and cool things with the people like on a regular basis. I get to know. So I'm like, none of this says this is less than. Like if you ask me, like, and I'll tell you, like, I'm the richest man in the world. Argue with me if you want to.
Right.
But I have more than enough. And I am so grateful for all that God has provided, not just monetarily, but relationally, emotionally, spiritually. Man, God consistently shows up. So I'm like, I have nothing to escape from.
Sure.
In fact, it's like hard, like for me, honestly, like the thought of going somewhere and not being at home is really hard for me.
Right.
I'm like, I enjoy being at home. Yeah. Like I have stability. I have everything that I love. I'm familiar. It's not like a comfort thing, but it's like, man, like everything that I could ever want, need, or imagine is provided for me.
Right. Right.
Now, and I've learned to incorporate rest in my life.
Yeah.
So I'm not exhausted by the time. I used to have this whole rhythm of life where by September, I'm crashing. Right. Like I would work and I'm like, hey, it's going to be about 3-4 days. I'm not even going to be functional. It's going to be bad. Right. Yeah. And then I start like, why am I doing this? All right, so you start to incorporate rest. I'm like, man, I'm refreshed. I'm rested. I can notice when things are a little off. And I'm like, hey, what do I need to do? What do I need to adjust? So my life is not something that I ever feel like I need to escape from. It's actually something I want to lean more into.
That's good, man.
That's good.
That's good. I had a thought when you were thinking about that too, about how you're saying like I get to September and I kind of get to this place where I'm about to crash. You know what I mean? I just had a conversation with Linda the other day because I mean, if you don't know this about Linda, and I don't mean to like call her out, but it's like she loves Christmas time. Like I feel like if I was cool with letting her put up the Christmas tree like tomorrow,
it'd be up now, bro.
She would do it. She'd be like, and she would talk about it, and she was like, it's 6 months of Christmas, everybody. You know what I mean? Like she would be that kind of person, right? But instead, we wait until like the end of October, beginning of November.
October,
right?
Bro. Last year was October.
But the other day she mentioned something about like I don't know, I can't remember the number. It was like certain amount of days to Christmas or something. I don't know. It's like she showed it to me on her phone, and I was just kind of like, and I got super anxious, dude. I got like all this anxiety. I sweat a little bit. You know what I mean? And I just like looked at her, and I was just like, that makes me so like, that scares me. It's like that's crazy, because instead of Christmas being this thing of like, hey, it's joy and celebration of Jesus and who he is and all that we have and all that he's provided for us. For me, somehow along the way, Christmas has become synonymous with, oh my gosh, there's so much to do, so much to get done, so many things that I feel like I have to accomplish so many things that feels like it's on me to do. And if I don't do this, then everything's just going to fall through the cracks all the way to like, and we haven't even started Christmas shopping yet. You know what I mean? It's like, there's all this, and then the pressure of Christmas shopping, and we got to, figure out. And so it's like, again, our culture has a way of, you see what I'm saying? You're feeling it too, right? So our culture has a way of painting a picture or conditioning us in a way where we start to feel some sort of way during these different seasons. And what I had to do in that moment is I had to pause and I had to ask myself a hard question and say like, okay, why can I not join with her in her joy? Why can I not like take this moment and celebrate with my wife the fact that like she's super excited that Christmas is going to be here in 5 months, or whatever it is, right? And that helps me to be reminded that like, yo, like that's a me thing, not a you thing. I could easily be frustrated with her because I'm like, you don't show me that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like you know how I feel. You know what I mean? Like my anxiety gonna go through the roof. But that's a me thing. That's not a her thing.
Correct.
She's actually seeing with a certain perspective of that, like this actually is something that should be joyous and should be celebrated. And she's found a way to hold on to that. Where me, I'm on the opposite end thinking like, no, we can't get there yet. You know what I mean? Like it's impossible. And I had to pause and be like, why? Why do I feel that way? And what has either culture or how I've been conditioned or the way that I'm thinking, again, it becomes something in the moment before we ever get there that because of that interaction, I can pause and say, okay, Jesus, something has to change.
Yeah.
This isn't good. Christmas shouldn't stress me out. Yeah. Christmas shouldn't make me anxious. Christmas shouldn't make me, you know what I mean? I feel like sometimes the same for summer, right? Don't waste your summer. Summer shouldn't make us overwhelmed. Summer shouldn't make us be frustrated. Summer shouldn't cause us to begin to compare our life with other people's life. Summer should be able to cause us, if anything, to slow down, to reset, to rethink, and to actually sit in a season with Jesus and experience the joy of our kids being out of school, experience the joy of the possibility of some travel or time away in our future where we can actually do that with Jesus, not opposed to, or outside of Jesus, that we can look for the little moments are sometimes the greatest moments. I think that's what I'm being reminded of right now is like the little moments are sometimes the greatest moments. I never have any cravings ever. But the other day, I told Linda, I was like, you know what I'd love? She goes, wait, you have a craving? I was like, yes. I would love if somebody made strawberry delight. And she's like, really? That's what you want? And I'm like, strawberry delight is like one of my all-time favorite dishes.
What is that?
It's a dish that my mom found a long time ago that she makes. It's got like a graham cracker crust to it. It's got like some vanilla pudding involved in it, Cool Whip's involved in it. It's got fresh strawberries sprinkled on. So it's not like a crazy unhealthy dessert, but it's still a dessert. But it's something that I remember from growing up. My mom used to make it. And every time my mom used to make it, there was just something about summertime and eating strawberry delight that I'm just kind of like,
this is
legit.
it.
It was like had all the vibes, right? I'm just like, yo, summer couldn't get any better than this. You know what I mean? And then I was reminded when I started asking Linda about, could you make strawberry delight? I was like, how far away I've gotten from that. You know, like, hey, that for summer, that's really all I needed, was just a bowl of strawberry delight. And it felt like the best summer ever.
Yeah.
And I started remembering like some of those memories and some of those thoughts. It's like, I wasn't eating strawberry delight like somewhere far away or in this place that I never.
At home.
It was just at home with the fam. These little moments that ended up being this this major moment in my life that I still remember today with my own family. My kids have eaten strawberry delight. You know what I'm saying? My mom has taught Linda how to make strawberry delight because she's like, you know, he's going to need this from time to time. You know what I mean? Like you want to help settle him a little bit. You know, and I'm totally and I'm totally not a food guy, right? Like I'm not all about the foodie thing. I'm not like a dessert person, and I don't like eat for comfort or anything like that. But I do think that there are certain foods that I feel like they do bring a sense of remembering, a sense of a simpler time, a sense of when I was at a place where I could slow down and just enjoy the goodness of God in that space, right? Yeah. So I think that's what summer reminds us of and keeps calling us back to. And so Yeah. Any few last thoughts as we kind of wrap this up of like ways to encourage people with plenty of weeks left in summer about taking some next steps to ensure that, maybe we either don't waste our summer or we continue to try to build a life that doesn't feel like we are so ready to hurry up and escape from.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just to acknowledge, like, I certainly, going back to that quote, and I mean this as a way of encouraging people, I definitely like that feeling of escaping life. At the root of it is a life. Like, I understand the feeling of I don't like life. Like, I don't like life in its current form. And this could come through bad leadership or bosses that we are subjected to, difficult seasons of life in which we are constrained financially or we're constrained emotionally. We're coming out of seasons where maybe we've lost loved ones and we've, we're hurting and we're mourning, we're grieving. And so not in this conversation, we're not turning a blind eye towards any of that. But when we acknowledge those things, it's important to assess and take inventory of our own life and what is producing health within us from the day to day. So I think my encouragement to everybody is, hey, I get it. I know what that feels like when like the crap hits the fan, or you're sick of this or you're sick of that. Like, I think we all in our own way, we can agree with that and we can resonate with that feeling, but don't let that stay stuck there and allow it to manifest itself in ways that I think are genuinely unhealthy and are not the type of rest that God is really inviting us into. So this is a great opportunity now more than ever. I don't really view the new year as the new year. I don't really think of January as the start of my year. I really think of summer as it. I don't know why. It's weird because, like I said, I don't love summer, but I do view it as almost a moment in which I get to kind of reset a little bit. And so this could be a great opportunity for all of us collectively as a community of faith and as followers of Jesus to really just reassess and take some deep personal inventory of what parts of my life am I preserving, what is actually producing the life of wholeness and health that I've always longed for, but didn't give myself the time of day to being able to commit to. There's still time to cancel your vacation, but there's also still time to go on your vacation, right? There's both and both are, neither is bad. It's just a matter of what is God's invitation right now.
Rethinking with the vacation, what is the purpose? What is the hope at the end of the day?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if you got 5 days, who says 2 or 3 days of that can't be for the vacation, and 2 more days you come home and you just reset spiritually, or vice versa? Like, who's to say that you can't get creative and rethink about the ways that I'm going to utilize these days? I know for me, it's looked a lot like, okay, I've got these days. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do quite yet. I'm going to hold this open-handed before God, just as a practical next step. Like, I'm going to hold this open-handed and be like, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to be prayerful about it and see what God is asking and where He's leading. And so, that'd be my encouragement. We get it. Life sucks sometimes, but it doesn't have to be like that from the day-to-day either.
Yeah, I'd say don't focus on the highlights of other people. Because you focus on the highlights, you focus on what you don't have. And when you focus on what you don't have, you start to hustle. And when you start to hustle, you inevitably become a hater.
From hustling to hating.
You know what I'm
saying? You heard it here first.
Yeah, it's just not a good way to live.
It's not.
It's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of effort. God is inviting us to wholeness, and that wholeness, it comes by way of some very simple, practical, enjoying the small things. And finding contentment. And being at peace in that.
Just one thing off of that. It's just a reminder that it's a daily invitation. Like, that life is a daily invitation. This is no place, like, each of us, all of us who are on the, like, we're processing through this daily invitation. Like, always, it's ongoing. I know for me, when I came home, was feeling a lot of emotions within me, whether it be it discontentment or just kind of missing where I was and the beauty of what I was experiencing. And then the question began, well, God, like what type of peace are you inviting me into right here, right now? What do I need to reestablish in order to help preserve that? And so I'm a work in progress. This is an active faith. This is not passive. Yeah, I'm taking an active role in my formation, and I'm taking up Jesus's invitation. And when we are praying, I really do pray, give me today this daily bread, because God, I need sustenance for today. Yeah. I'm trusting tomorrow will bring tomorrow, but for today I'm asking for it. Yeah. And so,
And I think it's important for us to remind those that are listening, like, man, so we're leaders within the church, but we don't have any of this all figured out.
No, we
You know what I mean? We're
not
not there yet. We're working very much working through this process. And I think that's some of the beauty of our community of faith, is like being willing to acknowledge that that's where we're at, and that we're all in this thing together. And I think as I'm hearing, the conversation here, and trying to encourage people about a next step for summer, I'm just reminded of John documenting Jesus's words, and kind of gives two clear contrasts, where he says in John 10 that the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But Jesus' reminder to us that I've come to give life, and to give life abundant, or life to the full. And I think that's something that we have to be willing to take Jesus up on that offer.
Yep.
And so I do think that there is a spiritual enemy that's constantly trying to distract, constantly trying to derail, constantly trying to get us off track, as we are trying to do our best to apprentice under Jesus. But Jesus' reminder is to recognize the distraction, right? Choose to sit in and reassess. Be willing to reset some rhythms so that you can begin to experience life in its fullest. And I really believe that summer is a great time to do that. And so, man, this has been a great talk today, but it's also been an incredible season.
Yes, it has.
Season 1 is in the books, and I just want to say thank you to all of our podcast listeners and viewers, wherever you might be watching from, wherever you might be listening from. We honestly thank God for you, and I know we tease a lot, like, hey, we've got 17 people listening now, you know what I mean? And we're learning that it definitely is a lot more than that. And so we're just thankful for what God is doing. And we want to say thank you for giving us the space and patience to kind of work out the kinks as we're doing this. Like I said, we're building the plane while it's flying, and we are just trying to hold it all open-handed and see where God's leading us. And so thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for tracking with us. It's always fun to hear from people something that they pulled away from the podcast. And so just grateful for that. And I want to encourage you, like I said, although this is the end of Season 1 today, we'll be back again sooner than later with Season 2, and we want to invite you to keep tracking along with us and invite others to do the same. And before we go, we want to make sure that you understand and know that you hear it here first. This coming Sunday, we're starting a brand new series here at City Line Church called Life Without Lack.
Yeah.
Life Without Lack. And that's all I want to share about that, because I think that should hopefully be enough to kind of just say, I want to come and hang out.
I wish my life had no lack.
Yeah, I wish my life had no lack. I mean, wouldn't that be great, right? Or maybe it's more so Jesus invites us to a life without lack. And what are we doing with that invitation, right? Yep. And so, it's going to be a fun time. We can't wait to see you. But until then, man, have an incredible day. Have an amazing week. God bless you guys. We love you. Thank God for you. Peace out.
Bye, y'all.
Be on Sunday.
Life without lack. Life without lack. Life without lack.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that. I didn't even think about that. It's like we create our own little video.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? I kind of, get that little side step. Be like,
that's that.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or was the hopscotch? He'd be like,
yeah. Are you mine?
I can't. I got the chunkless on. I can't.
Yeah. I got the dogs barking right now. We can't.
Dogs
do that.
are barking.
Dogs are it. Earl Simmons.